الصور. أحب الوفي الأمين الأغر، فأهل الوفاء كدار السحاب وحسن الربيع وماء المطر. مقامهم فوق رأس الجبال وفوق الروابي وعند القمر. ويا من تحب غياب الوفاء، رأيتك تهوى غياب البصر. وكم قائل قد أضاعت حياتي وفيا لأجلها نال البشر. أقول له أفلح الأوفياء وحسب الوفاء يطيل العمر. هنيئا لمن أخلص الحب عمرا وسحقا لذاك الذي قد غدر. هنيئا لمن أخلص الحب عمرا وسحقا لذاك الذي قد غدر. أحب الوفاء بشتى الصور، أحب الوفي الأمين الأغر، فأهل الوفاء.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين والعاقبة للمتقين والصلاة والسلام على رسوله الكريم سيدنا محمد وآله وأصحابه أجمعين برحمتك يا أرحم الراحمين. All praise due to Allah, the Lord, cherisher, nourisher, sustainer and master of the universe, the most gracious, the most beneficent, the most merciful. Ya Allah, it is only you that we worship and is your guidance that we seek. Ya Allah, keep us in a straight path. Ya Allah, shower us with the choice of blessings. Ya Allah, shower us with your mercy. Ya Allah, guide us. Greetings, salam, salutations on our beloved Nabi Muhammad Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. It's now 13 minutes past 9 on this Friday evening, the 30th of August 2024, the 26th of Safar 1446. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, and welcome to Let's Chat on Radio Al Ansar. My name's Faizal MJ Suleman, and inshallah I'll be your host for the next hour and a half. And tonight we are discussing a topic which our guests, who I'm going to be introducing to you very shortly, refer to as an elephant in the room. But we'll unpack what is the elephant in the room that they're talking about. I don't think I need to introduce either of my guests, but nonetheless, I'm going to do that. I say Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh to Nadia Bhayat and Fathima Fayers.
Salam, and it's a pleasure to be back here.
It's a pleasure having you. Fatima, I see you all quite...
Wa alaikum salam. I'm here.
I know why you're nervous. But doesn't matter. Not a problem. Okay, and of course, engineering for me is Monley. And before we unpack the elephant in the room, as Nadia and Fatima refer to our topic as, just to introduce our guest, Nadia has a passion to help people thrive, and her passion led her to a bachelor's degree in psychology and a double honors degree in speech therapy and audiology. She trained as a neuro rehab specialist and also has a diploma in Montessori teaching. Her interest in advocacy work developed early on in her career and was refined by her work in the medical legal field. Nadia's professional journey has spanned 3 continents: Europe, the Middle East, and Africa. She had the privilege of helping to shape the healthcare system at a Johns Hopkins facility in the Middle East and headed rehabilitation services and operations for a branch of the Abu Dhabi government. Nadia also has her master's in health management and leadership from the UK. She has developed training programs for universities and medical schools, has co-authored 3 books, and is currently the director of an NGO, Action for Autism. Fathima Fayers is an occupational therapist born and bred in Durban, studied at UKZN Westville, completed a degree in 2013 and her master's in 2019. She completed community service in the Amajuba district, returned home and locumed in different areas of practice, such as school and therapy center, physical hospital, substance abuse rehab, been practicing in mental health for 8 years. It has been her greatest blessings, alhamdulillah, she says, to learn and grow as an individual and a professional. Now, having said that, ladies, once again, thank you very much to have for joining me on the show this evening. And you spoke about guys are going on about that elephant in the room. Who or what is that elephant in the room, and which room? Okay, who's going to go for it?
Okay.
You go for it.
Can I paint the picture and then I'll let Fatima
No
take
problem. No
over?
problem. It's all yours.
So it can be a big pink elephant. It can have polka dots or stripes. It can have any color you like. It can be multicolored. Usually, I think it's black. Sometimes translucent.
The more it can blend, the better.
And the more it blends into the background, the better. But the elephant in the room remains the elephant in the room. And even though we make light of it, it is actually a very, very serious topic that I think is something that's needing our critical attention.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
I think the irony of it is also that, we say that it's we make light of it. And I think that it's a mistake to assume that we have to address the elephant in the room, but we have to do it in a way that might steal our laughter in its entirety.
Mm-hmm.
I think having an elephant in the room can be a very entertaining experience. But if we can all acknowledge its space, otherwise it's almost as though we all see it, but we all are pretending that it's not there. And I think at the end of the day, that leaves the joke on us.
Mm-hmm.
As
Absolutely.
individuals.
Absolutely. Now, before we start our discussion, let's just talk about this elephant. Tell the listeners, what is this elephant in the room that we're referring to?
That's the best part, Faisal. That is the best part. That's the big question that we're all asking. What is the elephant in the room? And we all see it, but no one wants to be the one to call it out.
Okay. So just to start our discussion, I don't know where to start.
Can I help you out, Faisal?
Okay, because I'm gonna give the answers away. That's what happens.
I think we'd encourage listeners to drop us,
a WhatsApp
message, and tell us what their experience is of the elephant in the room.
Okay, 06.
I'd love to hear what comes to mind.
Yes.
060-904-1056, 060-904-1056. Yes, tell us what comes to mind when we talk about the elephant in the room. Okay, let's start our discussion. Okay, I've got one message that's come through already. Let's just open this quickly. Okay, it says an elephant in the room with mental health is the fact that everyone has a role to play. Every person is there, and their issue is often blamed on the next person or situation. However, they usually play a role in it and tend to neglect that fact. Okay, that's one message that's come through. Okay, the other messages I will read just now. They are more general inspirational messages, but I'll read that just now. But I think, just to come back to the elephant in the room. It's when you don't want to talk about the thing that bothers you the most, or the fear to confront your biggest regret or mistakes. However, in the long run, it weighs you down and blame others for the things you did or say or what you're struggling with. Okay, I think I've got something that's coming through from my brother Mahmoud. Brother Mahmoud says that an elephant in the room is psychological disturbance and mismanagement. Okay, we seem to be getting close there. Psychological disturbance and mismanagement. Okay, I'm just going to read a few more messages here. It says an elephant in the room with mental health is the fact that everyone has a role to play. Every person is there, and the issue is often blamed on the next person or situation. However, they usually play a role and tend to neglect that fact. Okay, we seem to be getting there. Are you getting there, Fatima?
What have you noticed, Nadia, just as you listen to that?
Everybody's got to the crux of the matter, which is our mental health and well-being. And the fact that we avoid things that make us uncomfortable.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it's that usual thing that we say, hello, how are you? But do we actually want to know? how are you? How many people actually look you in the eye and say, how are you?
Fine, thanks. Alhamdulillah. And then we're on to the next conversation.
Absolutely.
Just peachy. Yeah.
Yeah, I know these things happen. So, you touched, or Brother Mahmoud had the answer, I think, psychological disturbance, etc. So, what are some common myths or stigmas surrounding, psychological disturbance, as you put it, or mental health, as somebody referred it to, that need to be addressed?
I think if we can just go back to looking at the underlying pattern that came out of all the responses that we've received so far. It's funny how everyone was quick to point out mental health and quick to point out the associated challenges with it. So ironically, it seems that we all have an elephant in the room and we all potentially have the same elephant in the room, but we're all seeing who can avoid it the longest. And if you have to trip over the trunk, we'd rather say, oh dear, the mat is out of place, as opposed to recognizing that we've tripped over the elephant in the room and hoping that maybe somebody else will point it out first. And, oh, did you hear about so-and-so's elephant? They spoke of this issue and that issue, not realizing that, hang on, like Nadia says, how am I? Maybe I am also experiencing the same. And acknowledging when somebody else reaches out to say, you know what, I understand that. Maybe even me too. I get it. It's okay. We may not have the answers or we may not be able to fix it, but let's figure it out together. And I think that then goes into the myths, because the myths are that if you have something that's wrong with you, that you are almost flawed in a way. And I think, alhamdulillah, we know that we haven't been created with flaws. We've been created as humans and we are bound to make mistakes and learn, but we haven't been created with any dysfunctional elements.
Absolutely. And
so I think that's one of the biggest myths that stand out for me.
What about stigmas, Nadia?
So I think in South Africa, we very much medical model driven. And I've said this before, we need to put people into neat little boxes. So we label. And with a label comes a whole lot of stigma. I had a young woman call me today, and she just had a diagnosis that she is actually on the spectrum. So she said to me, Nadia, do you know I've been put on the wrong meds, called bipolar, called, psychotic, called all of these things on this journey to find out that I'm actually on the autistic spectrum. So sometimes getting a diagnosis is a helpful thing. But on that journey, why are we so quick to shame and name people, right? I mean, we all have hard things we wrestling with at any moment in time. And I think what we do not do is pause and lead with a culture of kindness. I think if we all learn to speak a lot kinder to someone, because the stigma is, Faisal, is if I say that I'm struggling, it's a weakness. So we look at vulnerability as being a weakness. Would you agree, Fatima?
For sure. And it's almost a matter of if you have to put your hand up and say, hey, I'm struggling. I've tried all that I can myself and it's not working out for me. It's almost a matter of we're all suffering in silence. Why can't you as well? People have kept quiet about it for a long time. Don't say it. Don't mention it yet. People are listening, And the irony of it is, if you go back to understanding the term mental health, mental merely means mind. When we think of, no one says I went to consult with the GP about my physical health. It's just a matter of I went for a health checkup. And so mental health is very much a part of that health checkup. But somehow we've created the stigma where the minute you mention anything to do with psychological, anything to do with the mind, it belongs in a different box, like Nadia mentioned earlier.
I think the problem is twofold. One is we have a problem of denial. Nobody wants to accept it. Even the family members that are supposed to be taking care of it don't want to accept it. And secondly, as you said, there's a stigma attached. I mean, as you said correctly, if I've got a heart attack, I'll tell everybody I went to the cardiologist, etc., etc.
I'll even share the cardiologist's name with you.
Absolutely.
See so-and-so. They're so much better.
Absolutely. I'll even tell you what meds I'm on.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah. But
let nobody find out about the psychiatrist.
No. The psychiatrist, psychologist, the neuro rehab, as we call it, the occupational therapy, they don't exist. The OT exists.
We won't tell the family we admitted at a mental health facility, but we'll tell everybody to please come and visit at the medical hospital.
Absolutely. No, but I think we need to change that mindset. Because, like you have a physical issue, you have a mental issue. And there's nothing wrong with it.
And you know what, Faisal, what we're doing is that the elephant is a huge, we talk about potholes in this country. Mm-hmm. Let's talk about these big bumps. We have, I mean, the World Health Organization puts mental health at the top of the list of the key things that we need to address right now. And if you look at self-harm, suicide rates. And I'm not just talking about adults. I'm talking about children as well. As young as 6 years old, who are saying things like, I don't think I want to live anymore. I mean, a 6-year-old. And often we think that high stress, high anxiety is only an adult issue. But our children are under extreme stress and anxiety because they live in an environment with us in it. And there's this constant, I mean, you drive to work every morning. Oh my goodness, that's like playing Russian roulette in itself through every intersection.
That's a whole stress management experience.
There you go. So, I just think we've got to start engaging with people on the subject.
Absolutely. 060-904-1056. If you want to contribute to this topic, please forward to us your thoughts via WhatsApp. And yes, we'll take it from there, inshallah. Okay. Monty just reminds me that we need to take an ad break. So let's take the break. We'll continue after the break, inshallah.
We'd love to meet you. Pay us a visit. Radio Al-Ansar.
Simplex Radio. Visit our showroom for the full range of car audio. Our TV department carries top brands with quality LED panels, full HD to Ultra HD, and now the experience of Super Ultra HD. Visit our theater rooms and transform your home with brands like Onkyo, Integra, Denon, Boston Acoustics, Yamaha, and more for quality audio visual experience. Now available, full range of home appliances. A one-stop shopping experience. Call 031 306 4029 or Kenilworth Park, 202 Brickfield Road, Overport. Simplex Radio, the name you can trust.
They convinced the world to believe that terrorists look like beards and thobes. Now, as the facade cracks, one martyr after another, the world sees through the broken windows and now knows the true face of terrorism. It wears suits and ties and smiles behind lies.
اللهم احفظ المسجد الأقصى من اليهود الحاقدين. اللهم أعد المسجد الأقصى إلى رحاب المسلمين. اللهم وطهر المسجد الأقصى من اليهود الغاصبين. اللهم عليك بهم فإنهم لا يعجزونك يا قوي يا متين. اللهم منزل الكتاب مجري السحاب هازم الأحزاب سريع الحساب اهزم اليهود وزلزلهم يا قوي يا عزيز.
We got the green light. You're going to a war zone.
Who wants to win a PS5? Answer 5 not-so-simple questions to qualify for the weekly draw to make it into the finals. Follow, like, and tag 3 friends on the posts on our social media about the Game for You PS5 competition to pre-qualify as an entrant. Awesome weekly prizes with 3 main prizes at the end of the competition. FC25, a gaming chair, and a PlayStation 5 valued around 15,000 Rand. Powered by the Breakfast Rush and Game for You.
Plan your dream holiday with the specialist, World of Travel, as we pride ourselves in offering you the best in Hajj and Umrah. We also offer travel packages to the Middle East, Far East, and many more exotic destinations. Call our professional travel consultants now on 031 20 8877 or view our website www.worldoftravel.co.za. Visit us at 44 Crescent Street as memorable journeys begin with World of Travel by Irshad Malik.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم ادعوا إلى سبيل ربك بالحكمة وموعظة الحسنة وجادلهم بالتي هي أحسن.
Invite all to the way of thy Lord with wisdom and beautiful preaching, and reason with them in the ways that are best and most gracious. Join Shabir Pasha every Saturday 7 p.m. for Dawah Dynamic Show.
There's nothing quite like the taste of a traditional family meal, and at the heart of every great dish is a key ingredient that brings it all together. That ingredient is Sunfoil pure sunflower cooking oil, made from only the finest sunflower seeds. It's a perfect way to enhance the taste of your family's favorite foods. Sunfoil cooking oil is more than just oil. It's the key to bring your family together over a delicious meal and making every bite taste better. Remember, the key ingredient to a great family meal is Sunfoil. Tradition just tastes better.
Have you heard?
Heard what?
The latest. Join me, Kelly Ramazani, for a brand new exciting show every Saturday from 9 a.m. to 10 a.m. for the ultimate guide to navigating the world of careers. We talk about side hustles, unpack careers that are in demand, careers that do not need a degree, job searching, career advancement, personal development, and so much more. Tune in every Saturday, 9 to 10 a.m. to unlock the path of your dream job.
Radio Ansar.
You're listening to Let's Chat on Radio Ansar with myself, Faizal MJ Suleman. Our topic for discussion is the elephant in the room, which we've now discovered is mental health. And our special guests are Nadia Bhayat and Fathima Fayers. Nadia is a neuro rehab specialist, and Fathima Fayers an occupational therapist. I've mastered it now, right? Great stuff. Okay. The number in the studio for WhatsApp messages is 060-904-1056. We look forward to receiving your contributions to this particular topic. Now, Nadia, how can we encourage open and honest conversations about mental health in our daily lives?
I think the first thing we've got to do, Faisal, is be present. When we are present, we acknowledge what is going on. We constantly living on the run. So we multitasking, and we not here. We're not aware of this person who's here with us, because your mind is on to the next thing that you need to do. And if we just took a moment to be present, to actually say, are you okay today? Mm-hmm. Right? And when somebody says, no, I'm not, it's okay to say, look, can we catch up maybe at lunchtime today? Because I would really like to hear what is going on. Mm-hmm. I may be running into a meeting now, but I will do that with you. So it's the acknowledgement, I think, first. But even before that, within ourselves, we talk about vulnerability. And we talk about vulnerability being a weakness. It's actually a strength. Mm-hmm. And the more vulnerable we are, the stronger we are. Would you agree? More authentic. That is it.
More authentic.
Yeah, for sure. Because I think it goes, like Nadia said at the very beginning, how often have you actually looked at someone and genuinely asked, how are you?
Mhm,
You know?
mhm.
And if we have to take 2 steps back, when was the last time you checked in with yourself? You know,
Mhm.
do I start the day with, how are you? A friend of mine and I used to really take out a lot on her when she would ask me. She would always be like, how are you, Fatima?
Mhm.
No, really, how are you? And I was like, ask me that one more time. Ask me that one more time. You know, and it's always giving her the answers until eventually we realized, hang on, when do we stop to check in? And we are so busy checking in on everybody else. We are so busy making sure that all the different caps that we wear, our different roles, we fulfill them to the utmost best. But somewhere along the line, we misunderstood
Mhm.
that in fulfilling all those different roles and responsibilities, none of those are okay if we are not okay. You know, so the priority remains checking in with ourselves, because if I'm not okay, I'm still going to be a wife, a daughter, a mother, a teacher, a therapist, this, that, and the next thing. But I'm going to be able to, like Nadia mentioned, I'm going to be present in what I'm doing. So if I know I only am operating at a 50% capacity today, I'm going to know, do I need to maybe ask for help? Do I need to maybe look at the priorities of things to do and rearrange that list? Because today I might not be able to do everything I did yesterday.
Mhm.
And it might actually be okay. But if I have created this idea in my mind that if there's one task, so for example, if I am fulfilling my housewife roles and today I don't do the laundry and the ironing and the washing and cook a 3-course meal and this and that, because I did that yesterday, it almost leaves me with a thought that, hang on, I'm not doing this right.
Mhm.
I'm not good enough. It's not enough. I'm not coping. And we are very quick to turn that, almost stab ourselves in the back, if you wish, quicker than we will with others.
Mhm. Mhm.
Alarmingly so, because you would think that we would do that more for others. But if you think about our loved ones, we will bend over backwards to reassure them that, you know what, if you didn't get this done today, it's okay.
Yep.
It doesn't make you any less of a person. But somehow we have a double standard when it comes to holding ourselves accountable.
Mhm.
And so it's very much back to the space of how present are we with ourselves first? And then throughout the day, what are we doing? Who are we interacting with? How are we interacting? And is it the truest version of ourselves that we are offering out?
Mhm.
Or are we offering out this idea of what everybody else wants to see?
Mhm. Mhm.
Or sometimes also, is it a comparison between who we were yesterday?
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. You know, actually, it's being more aware. It's
For sure.
alert, and don't do things just robotic for the sake of it.
Don't do it for the sake of
Yeah.
it. Don't do
It's not
it
like,
because
how's
you
it? Oh,
feel
good,
you
lovely.
have to.
See you around. Yeah.
You know, and then that person you asked how are they, and they're like, today is not a good day, and you were like, oh, alhamdulillah, see you next.
Yeah.
You
Don't worry,
didn't
things will
hear.
work out for you.
You know, and
Yeah,
so
yeah,
it almost then, and going back to the vulnerability where Nadia shared that, if someone has to share something with you
Mhm.
and you are unable to hold that space for them, chances are they're going to think twice next time to reach out to you or to anybody
Absolutely,
else.
absolutely.
Because the message that we are putting out is that it's not okay to not be okay. Like
Yep.
you just need to be okay all the time.
Mhm, mhm. No, I can understand the feeling, because you know, when you are when you have a problem and you want somebody to listen to it, you want somebody to reach out to you, and when you don't get that, I think it aggravates the issue, aggravates the problem.
Absolutely. Yeah. Absolutely.
It was very interesting. I was at a workshop, and it was all about, reducing child abuse to zero. And one of the presenters who comes from Rwanda, the genocide and all of that, and she said, quickly close your eyes and in 10 seconds, tell me 5 people you would do absolutely anything for. You dropped your life, and everybody did that. And she said, okay, tell me who put themselves on that list. And nobody had. Right? So we should be on the top of our list. We don't even feature in our lives.
We want to satisfy everybody but ourselves.
Yes.
Okay, there's a voice note that's come through. I'm going to ask Mon to play it. I played the second one. Yeah, that's one.
For me, the saying elephant in the room refers to an obvious problem, issue, or a truth that everyone is aware, but no one wants to actually acknowledge or discuss it. It's something significant and unmissable. Yet people choose to ignore it because it might be uncomfortable, awkward, or difficult to address. This phrase often highlights the human tendency to avoid difficult conversations and confrontations. And this, for me, is trauma response. Even when the topic is plainly present and affects everyone, people generally like to be seduced by a lie than actually acknowledge the truth. And the old saying, "The truth will set you free." Remember, what we don't fix and what we don't sort out, and that are against our values and our beliefs, tends to normally build up resentment or animosity towards a person or towards a thing. So yeah, deal with it, build the bridge, get over it, and move forward. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you for that. That comes from a brother anonymous, if I can put it that way.
That's powerful.
Yes,
Yeah.
it is, undoubtedly. Undoubtedly. Okay. What are some signs or symptoms that might indicate that someone is struggling with their mental health?
I think if you look at it, it's simple things like being distracted, not being able to just be, to sit still. When you are, and I use this term, in the colloquial sense, hyper, like you constantly have to be busy. It's because there's something that's there and it's real, and you almost can't sort that out. But it can be very subtle things.
And I think it goes back to, like we say, that awareness of how we are on a natural day. And when you recognize that suddenly there's a consistent pattern of that picture not matching up, you notice the behavior that you are displaying and it's becoming consistent and it's starting to interfere with your day-to-day routine. Like Nadia mentioned, we often don't see it in ourselves. So we rather see it when it starts to affect our loved ones, when it starts to affect our ability to go to work, our ability to function within our family and our relationships and our communities, or the things that we enjoy. Like if I enjoy going for a run or going to the gym, suddenly I don't have the energy for that. It becomes an effort to drag myself to things that previously weren't, and you start to wonder, hang on, these start looking like red flags for you. This never used to feel this way. Why am I doing this? This is unlike me. And you might even hear that from your loved ones. They say, Fatima, is everything okay? This is not like you. Maybe you find that you are starting to isolate yourself a little bit more, or you are suddenly very, very agitated. It doesn't take much, the drop of a hat, and you're snapping at people, or there's a low tolerance. It's almost like our body it's full, it's overwhelmed. There's no space. We've stopped doing the activities that created space because, like Nadia mentioned, it's perfectly natural for us to have busy days, to feel overwhelmed, to feel a range of different emotions. But when we start to realize that range has decreased, it's only that one emotion that we're feeling predominantly. We're constantly feeling low. We're constantly feeling agitated, or we're even just constantly feeling angry. Because very often you'll find someone would much rather go to therapy for anger issues. It's a lot easier to say I have anger issues, or even, I have addiction and I'm seeking treatment for that, as opposed to saying, actually, underneath that, I have been really hurt. I'm feeling lonely.
Or sad. Just sad.
It's the hardest thing to be able to acknowledge because it touches very close to that vulnerable space Nadia spoke of earlier. So you'll find that your symptoms come through as almost things that can be just pushed aside. But when those symptoms start to present themselves on a consistent basis, and when they start to interfere with our ability to function, our ability to fulfill the roles and the responsibilities that are important for us, that are meaningful for us, then it really is a red flag. We've passed the orange state, but it's a red flag, and it would be helpful to reach out.
Nadia?
But I also want to say, Fatima, for me, the danger is those strong people who mask. And they mask so well that even those people who love them don't see that they are struggling, because they are so adept at and they think they're doing this because they, it's
They
almost like they have to. And it's those who are at the greatest danger.
And Faisal said earlier, he's getting the hang of this. And it's amazing that, repetition is the mother of all learning. What we're going to do often, we're going to get better at it. And like Nadia has rightly said, we're going to be so strong. We're going to find a way to cope and to get us through. And when you start to notice those cracks, your instinctive protective response is almost going to be, we need to hold it together. We need to keep it covered. We need to. But somehow there's always something inside, that voice. The voice note also mentioned values. There's always that voice inside of us that will hold us accountable, but we will find ways, and you'll notice the extent that we might go to almost block out that voice inside us. The activities that you did before, so you've got to work harder, you've got to push more, you've got to do extra to try, because the busier you are, the less time you have available to hear that voice inside of you. And often with these individuals, when they do crack, it's not a matter of, oh, okay, this has been coming for a long time, or I have been feeling it this way. It immediately goes back to, how dare I drop the ball? Something is wrong with me. This is not me. It's not okay. And if you have to look at, very often when you trace that back, it's been there for a long time. It's just you were able to stick it out a little bit longer. But having to rewire then, and having to say, okay, you know what? Next time I don't have to wait till the robot is blinking with all the lights on.
Absolutely.
I can actually, it's okay to bring a little bit of downtime in on a daily basis.
I've got a very interesting question that's coming. Salam. I have a huge problem. I procrastinate. I act very impulsively. I have this sudden outburst, and I'm perpetually irritated. And yet, I consider myself being a cool guy. Okay. Can you guys just comment on that?
You want to go for that? I love how it was
mental health experts do this one.
No, I like the way it was phrased as well.
I also I like that cool guy punctuation.
I didn't say that. I'd like to stay anonymous. It starts off with that, so I won't name the person.
And I think there you go. It goes straight back to the elephant in the room. We'll put it there as long as there's a mask covering it. But and this thing of, in order for me to be cool, it's almost like a catch-22. Cool for who?
Scale.
Does it feel good inside? Is it serving us inside? Because that's where we have to set ourselves.
I've been looking at that question for quite a while. I think when a person says cool guy, normally I'm quite calm, there's nothing wrong with me, I'm liked, etc. But suddenly I have these problems.
It's almost like an oxymoron.
Yeah.
I'm on fire, but I'm cool.
I think he's comparing his current situation to what he normally was. And I'm using the word he because I use the word guy. It says cool guy. So
not that we are biased, or we are allocating it. We are all human. I think at the end of the day, like you're saying, Faisal, someone is recognizing that something is not balancing out.
Absolutely.
And whilst that behavior in short stints might be okay, I think when we take that step back and we reflect on, what impact is this having on my social circles? What impact is this having on my loved ones? Are people comfortable in my presence? And again, it's not in the sense of people pleasing, but are people coming to me and coming for the shortest space of time, and the first chance they get to run away, they're taking that? Because it's not that as a person I'm not good enough. It's just that my behavior might be making somebody else feel unsafe. It might make them feel not calm. And so they want to limit their interactions with me. So I think that's where we need to start. There's a change in behavior. Why? What's going on? But also, okay, what have we stopped doing? Was I exercising regularly? And if for whatever reason something got busy, I dropped the ball on that, there's no balance anymore within my body physically. And now I'm not going into a space of diagnosing because that is not our scope. But if you recognize that it's persistent, it is interfering, and it's starting to interfere in a way where it's really becoming problematic, before it escalates, it might be wise to have that looked at. But the beauty of it is, I always used to say to my patients, is that we have the answers within us.
Yes.
If not, like Nadia mentioned, we sit still enough for long enough to be able to hear it.
Self sort of, you need sabotage, but also, we are extremely skilled individuals, and it's almost, our life is a journey from ourselves to ourselves, and we forget that because we look out there for the answers, and the answers lie within. And often we think there's a quick fix. So, hey, I'll go to the doctor. He'll prescribe me some meds, mood stabilizers. Then I'm cool. But you still haven't addressed the elephant in the room. So it's almost you've got to step back and say, well, what is going on inside me?
And what am I willing to do about it?
Exactly.
Now, we always want to assist, want to support people that have got these type of issues. How can we support a friend or a loved one who's dealing with mental health issues?
There we go, Fatima.
Nadia, I'm this one. I'm gonna let you lead us. Nadia is always inspiring. Myself.
So, Faisal, I don't think we have enough support structures within our community. We say reach out to a doctor, and popping a pill is not, there's no magic cure, there's no magic remedy. We in South Africa, I mean, as much as our healthcare is so advanced, we lack basic things like community support groups. So when you say, I'm struggling with anxiety, I feel stressed, is there a group that I can go to, whether it's in a hall or down the street, or, something that in my masjid, that somebody is going to say, here, some people meet here every week or every month, or here's an online thing. We lack that. And I think this comes up very much in my work, because you're constantly dealing with stressed out parents, stressed out, clients, and of course, us as health professionals have burnout, huge burnout. So I was saying to Fatima, we need to do better. If we see something, then we need to do better. And we are setting up mental health support groups.
Okay.
Because we have none in our community.
In fact, there might be groups that we're unaware of, I think.
Do we?
And I'm sure there might be some WhatsApp groups, etc. But firstly, we might be unaware of them, and secondly, they might just, they might not be in our areas or what have you. So
and I think it goes back to Faisal. Why do we not have this information available? So they are, and it's so difficult often, where we find that you have got organizations that are available, but you have clients that are traveling from one end of the world to the other end just to be able to find a space where they feel safe. And it begs a question, like Nadia says, why aren't we doing better?
No, definitely.
Why aren't we able to have a group meeting in the masjid, where we're acknowledging that, listen, we're going to meet after Salah. Often you'll find that some of the masjids will have after Salah, everyone will hang around and they'll read a few hadiths, they'll go through the 6 points. Why in that space are we not addressing what are the challenges that are going through? Brother, you didn't show up with Salah. We haven't seen you for a long time. Are you okay? What's happening? Or you lost a loved one in this week. How can we support you? We show up
I think that
for
is
those
absolutely
3
vital.
days. Yes. We show up for those 3 days.
Yes,
And it
yes.
goes back to the fundamentals of what we're taught. You know, alhamdulillah, we've taught this in Islam. We have got the guides and the principles, but somewhere along the line, we forgot those basic everyday nuances that lead up to that whole. It is all well and good that you are clocking in your 5 times a day. You are clocking in. But at the end of the day, I showed up. I showed up for your janazah. I was there for the next 3 days. But this grieving process you're going to go through, you're going to go through it for a long time. And how often are we there to follow that process through? You know, how often are we there to say, this is something that we can't take away, and alhamdulillah, we have got guides, and there's different ways that we can connect with that piece. But acknowledging that as a human being, you are going to feel a lot of emotions. And if you want to sit and cry, then that's okay. Let's sit together. We are sitting with you.
Yeah. In fact, I like what you said. You know, we should use our masjids for that purpose as well, because you know it's a bit more intimate. You know, the musalli is there. As you say, if somebody's not there for a while, you know who's not there for a while. If somebody's not, I want to say not looking right.
Yeah,
that's a thought in my mind.
Yes,
but if, you know, if there's something that you feel is not right, you know, you can approach, inquire, and try to assist.
Absolutely.
You know, we're not saying you should be interfering or something. We are saying trying to assist.
Just letting the person know that this is a space where it's a safe space.
Yeah, and it's a safe space. And as you said, you know, we can have meetings, etc., get-togethers, you know, just to discuss different issues, and that will encourage those, because everybody wants this question of anonymity when it comes to mental illness, mental health rather. You know, they don't want you to be shown, etc., etc. Everything's done undercover. So what happens that, you know, as if I've got a problem like with my heart, I'm going to ask everybody, you know, suggest a cardiologist. What can I do? Who can I do? Go to what alternate medicine, etc., etc. That's going to be the topic. When it comes to mental health, it's very quiet.
And you know, if you have to research mental health care, and if you have to go way back, and the research will show that the initial founders of the care that was provided, you'll find that there were Muslims driving that. And it was not in a way of finger pointing. And like Nadia is mentioning, unfortunately, as South Africans, we are falling short. We are falling short in a huge way. And then we wonder, why are our communities suffering? Because we are not supporting each other enough. You know, we have got circles where, and by no means am I now saying we are going to go into, we're suggesting having a joint group, or it's after Salah when your Jamaat is finished, did you sit down with each other? And the same for the ladies. If you are having, you know the people in your area, how are you creating a space where people can reach out? Not interfering, not getting into each other's business, not going beyond that, but just, it's okay to feel whatever you are feeling.
And
we
the
are
beauty
here
part
to
of
support.
it is that our religion has the answers and solutions as well.
Exactly.
I mean, you know, we can offer them, you know, a solution from the Quran, from the Hadith, from the, you know, teachings, etc. And and all these remedies are proven remedies.
That's it.
So it's not like something that, you know, you use a trial and error or something.
And it also is testament to the fact that it's not something that is supposed to be taboo.
Yes.
No.
You know, somewhere along the line, we got that interpretation wrong. And we got it wrong enough times for that to become a generational thing. That it got carried down from one to the next to the next.
Absolutely.
It is so sad, Faisal, when you hear a patient who is perhaps in their 60s or their 70s, and when they're reflecting on what happened in their life, they realize, hang on, this was never okay. It should never have happened. Or I should not have been left to figure through this alone. You know, or you have a patient saying, it's almost something I'm hearing consistently lately where, you know, in our culture, this is not something that we speak of.
Yes.
You know, I'm sure they would be diagnosed with depression if they were to realize that it's a problem or reach out.
Or my daughter needs to get married, so I won't acknowledge you when I see you outside these rooms, because I don't want anybody to know that my daughter is seeing you.
Absolutely.
As opposed to acknowledging that,
let's talk about
the responsibility that you're taking to ensure that you are okay, so that you can be okay for others around you.
Absolutely. Let's talk a bit about negativity and the effect of negativity on, you know, on one's mental health. I mean, I meet you in the morning. I mean, you got the same dress on again as yesterday or something. That's negative. Not how's the day.
I think that, I read this beautiful thing that a mum, as she drives her children to school, she decided that this world post-COVID is just heavily, sort of based in negativity. We're constantly critical. And what she does with her children is they compliment everybody out the window.
Oh, man.
So like, oh, you've got a beautiful jersey. Oh, I love your hat. And she said, after doing this for 2 weeks, people were doing that back to you.
Yes.
So I think we've got to change this and just start this day and say, just yes, constant.
Be nice.
Be nice, kind.
And I think it goes back to what we spoke of earlier with the authenticity. If I'm not nice to myself, how on earth am I going to be genuinely nice to you? Because I'm just thinking of these kids sharing this goodness and sharing compliments. And I can just hear somebody saying, are you okay? What's wrong with you? What did you eat today? Why are you like this? It's not normal, And it's like, well, what is it that we always say? Misery loves company.
Yeah.
Somehow we would all rather be okay with being negative and feeding into that than actually saying, hey, let's break the cycle. Let's race each other to be nice to each other. Let's race each other to be the first one to put some ray of sunshine into the day. And it's not that we are asking that we see the world through rose-colored glasses.
No.
You see it for what it is, but you choose to take responsibility of what you're growing in your mind.
The glass half full rather
There
than
you
the
go.
glass half empty.
I think talking of half full and half empty, I think we need to take a short nasheed break. And of course, we can just revive ourselves. So let's listen to
I think
this nasheed.
Faizal is teaching us an important thing, that
Yes.
even too much of a good thing can be unhealthy.
That's
Absolutely.
true.
What could you say? Where could you go? If time stops, you are standing alone. There'll be a light of space you've never seen before. I'm trying to tell you what you already know. Have you ever been this bad and pray as you cry? When did you apologize or ask him to go? Now you're standing in this place, it's time to show all the deeds that you've done. The corn has been blown. Yeah. ربنا آتينا في الدنيا حسنة وفي الآخرة حسنة وقنا What could I say? Where could I go? Where you're the most high, the king of that day. I'll be standing. Oh my, forgive me for my wrongs. Protect me. In your shade, don't let me slip away. Have you ever been this bad and pray as you cry? When did you apologize or ask him to go? Now you're standing in this place, it's time to show all the things that you've done. The phone has been blown. Yeah. ربنا آتينا في الدنيا حسنة وفي الآخرة حسنة وقنا ربنا.
Yes, that was Nadeem Muhammadul Rabbana. Now, when we talk of mental health, I mean, the first that comes to mind is stress, anxiety. And I'm sure you can share with us some effective ways to manage stress and anxiety in an increasingly fast-paced world.
I think we've mentioned some of it, so So to get those endorphins going, exercise. I like to talk about the walk and talk. So instead of sitting at your desk and having your next meeting, Faisal, go on a walk and talk meeting. Mm-hmm. So, but even better, do it with your group, your tribe, the people within your trust circle, and really I'm not saying therapy doesn't have benefits, but in our everyday life, we have a close circle of people, and we can share within that close circle of people. So you can unpack your day. And so you can, and these are people who, will say to you, you know what, Nadia, I think you were out of line there. Mm-hmm. That's not so. And they'll hold you accountable.
Absolutely.
And that's great, because they're not being critical, but they want the very best for you. Mm-hmm. And this is your sounding board. So walk and talk is excellent.
Except that you'll be just huffing and puffing.
Well, that's good too.
Exactly, because then you might actually be having a more genuine conversation. Yes. You're thinking about what's coming out.
Mm-hmm. And you're breathing, Faisal, because if you think about when you're stressed and anxious, we go...
But there you sort of like more hyperventilating than breathing.
Yeah,
we don't have enough time to actually breathe.
Deep breathing. Mm-hmm. And there's a lovely thing that's called square breathing that we learned. Square breathing. So you...
Exactly like that. Exactly. As you did your head.
Yeah. So you breathe in to a count of 4. You hold for a count of 4. You breathe out for a count of 4, and you wait for a count of 4.
So that's how you get the square.
And you can draw it as you go, or with a pen, just to guide you.
And you can do it in your car when you're stuck in the traffic on all these roads in KZN that have roadworks everywhere, and we're all getting so frustrated.
Yep.
In the middle of a meeting, nobody has to know that you're doing it to regulate yourself. So there's a number of these techniques where it's just bringing that consciousness back to ourselves, that, hang on, the rat race is out there, but in here is what's important. So am I running a race that is meaningful for me? And I'm just thinking, as I was listening to Nadia, I was just thinking, I'm like, what do we do? Because I always say to patients, it's not that we are giving you some specific manual that's out there. Yes, it's all very much evidence-based and research proven, but it's those everyday things that we are able to do, those everyday activities or those everyday choices and changes in our behavior, those people that we need to connect with, because it's all well and good. I'm going to see my professional once a month, once a week, once in however many, but it's those everyday people that I'm touching base with that are going to hold me accountable. They're going to be my speed bump when I'm going too fast on the road. They're going to say, hey, listen,
take it easy,
slow it down.
It's okay. Yeah. And so the breathing, it's just, if I'm going too fast, how do I slow myself down? Is there a breathing exercise? Is there some sort of movement I can bring in? Allow that physical pressure, that physical steam, a space to come out. If there's also just sitting down with a pen and a paper. The first thing I do when I feel everything in my mind is too full, I take a pen and a paper, and whether it's a small piece of paper that's near me, there's been times when I will pull a serviette out of the dispenser and I will write on that just to see it in black and white. Because the minute it's there and the process of physically writing it out, that in itself is slowing us down. Because now when everything is on WhatsApp and everything is typed out, or you voice note yourself, and it's feeding into the pace that you are driving at. It's not that technology is bad. You are setting the pace. And so in order to slow yourself down and say, hang on, what is the most important thing? We prioritize, we manage our time. Maybe you have a routine where you create a pattern that is going to slow you down. If you think of when we are driving these roads Nadia mentions, I cringe. But we know that when there's construction, most times we hope there's some sort of an indicator that we are needing to slow down. Generally, you can drive 120, but because there is roadworks now, you're going to need to travel at about 80, 60, whatever it might be. And there's somebody with a flag, and there's if you're me, you're just looking at the cars in front of you. When you see brake lights in front of you, then you also start.
Yes.
So very similarly, we know there are times in our day, there are times in our life when we move at a much faster pace, and it's okay. It might very well be okay. But sometimes in the midst of that, you're going to have construction that's going to show up, going to last longer than perhaps it needs to, but it's not going to go anywhere. And our stress and our anxiety are sometimes a part of our everyday life with the pace that things are going at lately. So if it's going to be there, I still need to travel. I still need to get things done. How do I ensure I'm always in a position where I can make decisions that fit? You know, I can slow down when I need to. I'm not just going to carry on driving at 120 because that's a freeway and I'm supposed to be able to do that. I'm going to just injure myself and others. You know,
Absolutely.
so it's a matter of, yes, you know what you know. It should be what it should be, but is that what it is right now? And if it is not, am I able to adjust?
But as you said, if somebody's driving fast, you want them to take it easy. Rather you tell them take it easy than ask them, do you have to drive so fast? Okay.
Offering suggestions. There we go. There's the positive speaking coming in.
A message from my sister Mariam says, Salams, brother Faisal and panel. In homes, siblings should be enlightened and be taught to be kind to one another, because a very common observation is that siblings have a tendency to tease and belittle one another in their communication, which unintentionally could have a negative impact. Your comments?
That is true. I mean, but there's also that thing of, a healthy sibling rivalry. I think it's parents and the family, the larger family unit. We have to model. And it's that talk we do. And often we don't realize that children sitting, they don't just have big ears, they have satellites for ears. And they sponges, Faisal. And you think they're not absorbing everything, but they absolutely are. So they may be sitting there playing with their cars, but they're listening to this conversation and they're watching. So when we are negative to anybody, or we talking and we using sort of harsh negative words, they like, aha, okay, so it's okay to do that. Therefore, who's my circle that I can now try this out on? My siblings, right?
Absolutely, yeah.
So that is where it begins. And I think it's very, very important that within families, we start, everything in our lives starts right there. If we want our children to be present, we have to be present. A lot of people are saying, we sit down as a family to eat. We put away all devices during that time and we connect with each other. So I think that is where you've got to start those foundations. And that it makes the difference.
Absolutely. You said put away our devices. My next question to you is going to be the effect of social media on mental health. And yes, how can we balance the demands of social media with the need to protect our mental health?
It's so funny. I'm
mental
thinking
well-being, rather.
There we go. But because there's no elephant in the room anymore, we're calling it what it is. It's looking after our mind and looking after our mind's health. I was just now thinking of when Nadia spoke of putting away our devices and sitting down at the table. We laugh because earlier this evening, my parents have now learned about, so they're not very technologically inclined, but they are learning. To their credit, they are learning. And it's now the more that they learn, it's almost a matter of who's going to scold who, because, we're both sitting now with our phone and this doesn't happen. So it's almost that moment of realization and we all have a good laugh over it. But alhamdulillah, my brother once said to me, so I come from a huge family and there's enough siblings to go around. And he once said that when you look at your hand, all 5 of your fingers are very different, but each of them have their own role to play. And very similarly, you'll find in your family, you will find if you take time to understand each person's personality and you just understand each person as they are, they don't all need to be the same. And when we go out into the world, when we go out into society, we are going to find people with similar characteristics, So if within our family units, if within, and not everybody is blessed with big families or to have, but like Nadia mentioned, we have our tribe. We have those people around us, whether they are extended family, they are friends, but they are those people that we feel safe around. They hold us accountable. They tell us the things that we don't always want to hear, but we need to hear. And we will communicate in different ways. So it's just understanding that the question that came in, incredibly important. It has to be what's happening, what we are exposed to very early on in our lives, and consistently so, is going to feed into how we build our relationships moving forward. But having said that, it's also a matter of choosing. I don't know if you heard that story where there's two brothers came from an alcoholic dad, and one became an alcoholic because of what he saw, but the other didn't because of what he saw and experienced. So it always becomes a choice. If my sibling is speaking to me in a way that I don't appreciate, I'm able to say, please don't speak to me that way. Or I would prefer it if you spoke in a lower tone, or I would prefer it if when you speak to me in a manner that is respectful. Let us respect each other. Not pointing fingers at the person, but rather at the behavior. Sometimes we're open to listening. Sometimes we are open to constructive criticism. And sometimes we are not. And I always think that there's layers underneath that, because it's, am I lashing out at you because I feel safe in this space with you? Does not make it okay. Because at some point I'm going to really want to love you from afar if all you have is this negativity, But it's about very carefully assessing what kind of relationships are we cultivating, and are we doing those basic activities where we sit around the table, look each other in the eye and check in. How are you? What happened? What's going on? Some days let's just sit and eat in silence, because those are the things that I think we have lost touch of coming to the technology. Why eat together? I can order something on the go. I can eat on the go. I'm going to be at work. I'm going to do here. Everyone's coming and going at their own time. It becomes an event to sit down and eat.
Absolutely.
And at the table, not in front of the TV.
Yes.
Or eat and just eat. Not eat and be in a Zoom meeting and be responding to emails at the same time and this and that. So I think it's if we have those baseline foundations laid, and if they aren't, lay them. Start laying them. Because then we're able to use technology in a way that is benefiting us. Technology itself is not bad.
No,
it's the choices we make
How
about
you-
how
how
we
you use
use
it.
it.
Absolutely.
And if you are on a social media platform, go find some that are good platforms for mental health, which are good for you, and rather look at those than finding, an influencer and saying, oh, I really need that, and I really need. So it's also saying to yourself, it's being able to say, do I love the authentic person I am? Can anybody? And if you don't love yourself as who you truly are, then you can't expect anybody else to love you.
Absolutely.
And that is why we've got this whole thing about the physical, let's do more to every little wrinkle, blemish needs to be, what is the word?
Address.
Not only that,
Removed.
it's removed,
Covered up,
filtered. Because
Oh,
you've got
filters,
filters on
my
your
word.
phone. So we've got to filter them away.
Okay.
I think it's so funny because as we're speaking of it, I'm thinking of all the things that I have learned from my nieces and nephews. So each one is, alhamdulillah, they're all coming in at their different generations. And so I'm constantly learning. But I realize that it's so easy when you have so many of that available. There's so much of supposed perfection that you are surrounded by, that you are almost holding yourself accountable to an inauthentic version, because is that how that person really looks? If you have to look at the dynamics that go into marketing, and there's a lot of psychology involved in that. They work really hard to make you believe that what you are right now is not enough. This is what you need to be. And so I think if we are taking the time to connect with ourselves, what is really important and what is really valuable to me? And if for whatever reason it is that my self-care is really important to me, then by all means, go out of your way to ensure that that is an active part of your day. But if it is not, it is only important to me because my friends are doing it. It's only important to me because I feel I'm supposed to be doing it. You know, there's almost a shame in saying, actually, this doesn't interest me. I'm always having these discussions with my nieces where it's, oh, but you don't do this and you don't, but I spend time doing this. And I was like, I'm so happy for you. So happy for you.
Yes, absolutely.
But for me, it's not important right now, or it has no value. These are the other activities that I place priority or value in. And just being able to engage in those conversations, because it doesn't mean that what is important to me is going to be important to my niece or to Nadia. We can celebrate our differences and support each other. But it doesn't mean that now if I value my self-care, but tomorrow I have a pimple and I'm going to have a pimple, because that is just how it works. You know, that I'm going to now want to hide out because I cannot go out in public in a less than perfect version of myself. And that's going to start to play intense games with my mind at some point.
Okay, I can see you, Daisy, have been having fun, because when you have fun, then time flies. Okay? We've got like 7 minutes to round up the program. There's lots and lots of questions I'm going to pose to you. I think we've just scratched the surface on this particular topic of our discussion. But maybe you can start by just some thoughts and some advice to our listeners. Of course, as I say, I've got 9 minutes. I'm going to play a little clip before the voice note that's coming as well. But let's start with you, Fatima.
I think something that I read earlier was, if we don't, we better address the elephant in the room before the entire circus comes to town.
I like that.
You know, so I think for me, that's where it is at, where, like you said, you know, suddenly we all make peace with the fact that there's an elephant here. We all are comfortable enough to bring it out, sit with it. We can actually have fun with it, and suddenly it's no longer a problem. So I think if that's something that we can just remember, how can we sit with what we have in our room? How can we acknowledge it and do one small thing differently? When I say that, I mean, how can we be kinder to ourselves and then to everybody else around us? So whether it is just look yourself in the mirror every day whilst you are getting ready, and just how are you today? You know, at the end of the day, what was one thing that went well for you? There'll be 10 things that perhaps didn't. But what is the one thing that you are grateful for? That today, alhamdulillah, I have this. I may not have a lot, but I have this. And just holding that before you go to sleep. So one thing that you are going to do, one way you are going to be kinder to yourself. And before you go to bed, what is the one thing you are saying alhamdulillah for?
No, excellent. Thank you so much. You didn't pose a question to me because I was not going to answer it. Okay. Nadia?
Well, I think I would like to say I'm not about to talk. I like to walk my walk. And having said that, let's start creating these circles of support. And in everything we do, let's lead with a culture of kindness. I may not be nice every day. You know, there's some really ugly days, and I admit that. You know, we all have that within us. But let's, you know, and when there is no harm and no shame in saying, I'm sorry.
Absolutely.
I did that, and really I was having a bad time, but I'm sorry. Can we do better going forward?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
It means a lot. Ladies, thank you very much for joining me on the program this evening.
Jazakallah so much for having us.
Nadia Bhayat.
Shukran for having us.
We had quite an informative discussion, I think, if I can put it that way. But we will continue this discussion on this topic in future programs. Monli, thank you for having engineered for me. Hajar Kota, thank you for having produced the show for me. But before we leave, Monli's going to play this one clip that we received. Monli, play the clip and then I'll round up after that. Okay. Whilst Monli getting that clip ready, just to remind you that yes.
The elephant in the room. For me, what comes to mind when I think about this, especially being a healthcare worker, is compassion fatigue, something not often spoken about, but experienced by so many people, not necessarily only healthcare workers, but any person that is taking care of someone or people who are either sick or have been through trauma, can experience this. And it's something that, you know, especially when you're in the position of taking care of people, you just go day by day, and you don't often realize how you might be experiencing this. So I think though you are taking care of others, it's very important to take time, make time to take care of yourself so that you can be better able to take care of others. And that can be by doing very small things, like doing self-care, finding joy in things that you enjoy, so that you can at the end be a better person and also then provide better care for others.
Thank you for that one. And there's another clip that just
For me, the saying elephant in the room refers to an obvious.
I'm a mother to 3 kids. I have 2 sons and a daughter. All 3 of my kids are ADHD, and both my sons are on the autism spectrum. Having children who are faced with these challenges has taken a mental strain on our family. As a mom who has dedicated herself to the well-being of my kids has taken an emotional and mental strain on myself, one that I do not open up and talk about, because I need to take care of each one of my kids' emotional meltdowns. All 3 of them battle with anxiety, social anxiety. We have meltdowns on a daily basis. My eldest being the worst, as he really battles not only with anxiety, but with severe depression. I feel there is a lack of support for parents and for children in this sort of situations. There are days I feel I have failed as a mother, and this weighs on me heavily. Most importantly is accepting mental health and not worrying about the stigma attached to it. The elephant in the room for me is not talking about my mental health. Mental health should not be frowned upon, but instead it should be embraced and given full support.
Time for us to round up. The next program you'll be listening to is Ikra Wafam with Brother Aki Muhammad. So let's stay tuned. Ladies, once again, thank you very much. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh to you.
Wa alaikum salam.
We spoke to Nadia Bhayat and Fathima Fayers, and we spoke about the elephant in the room. And I'll be back with you tomorrow morning, inshallah ta'ala, on Rise and Shine. So till then, for myself, Faizal MJ Suleman, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.